Okay, so welcome. I'm Councillor Philip Davis. I'll be chairing this hearing of Subcommittee O, the Licensing and Public Protection Committee of the Birmingham City Council. If everybody could mute their microphones for the moment, so we can, that will help the sound quality while I talk about procedure. Cameras should be turned off other than for members, but I should point out that Councillor Morell's camera is not working, so he will not be able to be seen, but he is here.
That's correct, Chair. Just so you can hear my voice, I am here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Councillor Morell. Let's confirm that. And then myself and Councillor Mary Locke will keep our cameras on throughout the hearing. If you could all put your mobiles on silent, make sure there are no distractions. That will obviously assist us in moving the meeting forward. It's vitally important that those attending the meeting making representations over the members of the subcommittee and the officers. Any distractions could result in the meeting being suspended temporarily or to another date and time under the regulations of these types of meetings. I can confirm this is a public meeting and is therefore being live streamed on the City Council's website in order that the general public can view it. The agenda is as follows. Formal item number 1 is I'm required to advise the meeting to note that this meeting will be webcast for live or subsequent broadcast via the Council's meeting YouTube site, and that members of the press and public may record and take photographs except where they are confidential or exempt items. Item 2, declarations of interest. Members are reminded they must declare all relevant pecuniary and other registrable interests arising from any business to be discussed at this meeting.
Could I just declare a non-pecuniary interest? Mr. Back, the applicant, has premises in my ward, but this application is totally separate and there's no conflict at all. Okay,
thank you very much for that, Councillor Locke. Item 3, apologies and notification of nominee members. There are no alternative members today. No apologies. Item 4, colleagues, can we confirm the minutes of the meeting held on 31st of October 2022 at 10:00 hours, and to note the public part of the minutes of the meeting held on the 21st of November 2022 at 12:00 hours? Agreed. Thank you. Okay, so can I welcome you to this hearing of the application in respect of the Barrel Store, Arch 31, Water Street, Birmingham, B3 1HL. My name is Councillor Philip Davis, as I said, and I'm chairing the meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee A today. With me are other members of the subcommittee, Councillors Mary Locke and Councillor Simon Morell. And as I said earlier, Councillor Morell has indicated that he can't use his camera, but he is here. Also present in the meeting are the following officers: the Licensing Officer, Mr. David Kennedy, Committee Manager, Ms. Katie Townsend, and the Committee Lawyer, Ms. Joanne Swampler. And now, if I could come to those attending from outside today. Mr. Edge, you're the agent for the applicant today, I understand. So could you just indicate you're here?
I am indeed. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Sam Back, you're the director of the applying company.
Correct, yeah, and I'm here as well.
Okay, thank you. We don't have, for the public, if I can just clarify, those making representations, objections, however you want to call them, can attend to speak if they wish, but no one has indicated a wish to do that today, but an objection has been received, which we'll deal with. So there are no representations. I need to ask anyone to withdraw as they're not here. Now, I assume all parties have read and understood the Licensing Committee procedural rules sent out with notice to this hearing. I may at my discretion amend the procedural rules to reflect the fact that the meeting is taking place online, but none of those amendments will impact on the party's right to a fair hearing. Now, we use the chat function. I think this is well understood these days as a backup in these kind of online meetings. You'll find it on your toolbar in the usual place. And what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you could all go to the chat facility and type in your names, that helps us with recording the business of the meeting today. So I'm just going to do that myself. If I can get the right section, there we are. as I say, if we type that in, then we can move on. Okay, thank you. I'll just try and get back to my main screen. That's right. Okay, thank you very much for that. I don't think we've got any audio telephone participants today, so no problems with that. And again, with the exception of subcommittee members, please keep the camera off unless you're the person speaking. This will assist us with the bandwidth, but things seem to be working quite well. Again, I think this is more for where we've got external representations, but perhaps I could just ask Mr. Edge. Mr. Edge, do you want to make any procedural points at this stage? Any preliminary points?
No, none at all. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on. And firstly, I'm going to ask Mr. David Kennedy, licensing officer, to present his report. And then we'll come to you, Mr. Edge, to make the case for the applicant. And again, we don't have any representations post that. So the subcommittee will be able to ask questions at any stage. We'll try to do so at the conclusion of the presentation. And again, cross-examination doesn't arise today. So I think we can move over that procedural point. And again, if someone else is speaking, if you can mute your audio, that will assist us in terms of making sure people are heard and the bandwidth is functioning properly. It may be necessary for the subcommittee to take legal advice at any point. At my discretion, I may ask all parties to wait in the meeting while members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting within Microsoft Teams. We'll then return to this meeting and continue. The live stream is obviously turned off at that stage, and then we resume the live stream when we come back into this meeting. And again, if we go into private session, if we need to do that, similar principle will apply. At the conclusion of the hearing, I'll invite all parties to make a brief closing submission. I stress no decision will be taken until all the evidence has been heard. And at the decision-making stage, the members and the relevant officers will withdraw from this meeting in order to determine the decision. We go into a separate Microsoft Teams meeting. If we need to clarify any points, then in this case, we will contact the applicant, contact the agent. And notification of the decision will be within 5 working days. Okay, so that's the procedure. I suspect, Mr. Edge, you know all that anyway, but I go through all that because we have members of the public watching and they may be new to the hearing. And of course, it's important to set out the procedure, particularly when we've got large numbers of people here. So now I'd like to move on to Mr. David Kennedy, the licensing officer, and ask him to present his report. Mr. Kennedy.
Thank you, Chairman. Attic Barrel Store JQ Limited applied on the 20th of October for the grant of a premises licence for the Barrel Store, Arch 32, Water Street, Birmingham, B3 1HL. The purpose of the report is to consider a representation that has been made in respect of the application, which seeks to permit the sale of alcohol for consumption both on and off the premises to operate from 12 midday until 12 midnight Monday to Sunday. The provision of regulated entertainment consisting of films only to operate indoors from 12 midday until 11 PM Monday to Sunday. To permit the provision of late night refreshment to operate from 11 PM until 12 midnight Monday to Sunday, with the premises to remain open to the public from 12 midday until 12 midnight Monday to Sunday. A representation has been received from other persons, which is attached at Appendix 1. The application, including supporting documents, is attached at Appendix 2. Conditions have been agreed with West Midlands Police and the applicant, which are attached at Appendix 3, and site location plans are at Appendix 4. When carrying out its licensing functions, a licensing authority must have regard to Birmingham City Council's statement of licensing policy and the guidance issued by the Secretary of State under Section 182 of the Act. The authority is required to take such steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the 4 licensing objectives. The options available to the committee today are to grant the licence in accordance with the application, to reject the application, to grant the licence subject to conditions modified to such an extent as considered appropriate, exclude from the licence any of the licensable activities to which the application relates, and or to refuse to specify the designated premises supervisor. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. So now, Mr. Edge, I come to you to make your applicant's case. And as you know, we usually allow 20 minutes for that if you need that amount of time.
I do. Thank you, Chair. Through you, Chair. Acting for the premises licence holder, I have given full regard to the licensing objectives set out in the Licensing Act 2003, the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy, the guidance issued under Section 182 of the Act, and the representations made by other persons to the application, i.e. the Tunnel Club. This is a business that's recently been taken over by the two partners and is being fully refurbished to an exceptionally high standard. They already run a licensed premises and a brewery, the Attic in Sturchley, and believe they have mastered the art of hospitality and now wish to extend their portfolio. During the consultation period, liaison with police licensing and the other responsible authorities have negated the need for any of them to make representations. They are all very happy with the premises licence operating schedule and the hours of the licence application, along with the supporting documents supplied. I've attempted to mediate with Mr. Malcolm, the owner of the Tunnel Club, on several occasions, via email and via telephone calls. I'm sorry that there's not been a response to the emails or any specific requests made by the objector. There has not been any evidence produced by the objector to cite that the licensing objectives would not be upheld, and the objector has not engaged, and it obviously is not present today. In accordance with Section 8.41 and 8.42 of the Section 182 guidance, the applicant has taken into consideration the local community and the steps required to demonstrate a strong operating schedule with very reasonable hours. Attached to the documents submitted for this application were the responses, i.e. 2 letters to the objector, the Challenge 25 policy, a refusals log, DPS authorisation form, a premises licence operations manual with staff training, customer signage, conditions agreed with West Midlands Police Licensing Team, and a dispersal plan. There is a robust application with solid operating schedule and a strong management team in place for this premises. The hours are reasonable in comparison to many other venues in the local area, including the objector's premises, which opens until 4 in the morning. With your permission, I'd now like to ask Mr. Back to say a few words about the business, and that would then conclude my submissions unless you have any questions either for myself or for the applicant. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, that's fine. Can I just say I'm not sure whether you've got your camera in reverse mode, because you're sort of, we're getting a view of the back of your screen, I think. Oh, there we are, that's fine.
Because I'm using 2 screens.
Yeah. It's not a problem. You're not even required to have the camera on necessarily. It's just
No, just causing confusion, Chair.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, thank you for that. And if you want to bring Mr. Back in, that's fine, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, morning all. I just want to give a quick overview of what we're trying to do with the venue. As some of you may know, we have a current premises we have in Sturchley. We have the brewery and the bar there. We've got a lot of experience from doing this. We've got very, very good clientele. We're very premium. We've not had any complaints. We're pretty happy with how we run this place. We want to replicate that in the town, so in the Barrel store. So it will be a facility for making barrel-aged beer, where we can make some really high-quality premium products. But also we want to showcase that with the bar facility that's on site. So we're certainly not going to be a massively busy or rowdy venture. It'll be very premium focused and focusing on sampling the quality of what we do as a business. We're hoping to, the reason for the licensing of films, we're hoping to do the odd film club here and there. But primarily we want to just be serving alcohol that we've made on site and at our neighbourhood facility. So again, just to reiterate, we're going to be a premium offering of high quality product, and we want to share that and help further the brand of Attic Brew Co in Birmingham.
Okay, Mr. Bagg, thank you. We'll go back to Mr. Edge.
Thank you.
Are you happy to take questions now, Mr. Edge?
I am indeed, yes, Chair.
Yeah. And just one from me to start. What is the maximum capacity of the premises?
We are currently working with the fire brigade and completing the fire risk assessment, but it's believed it will be approximately between 60 and 80.
Okay. Is it likely to be that full at any point, 80 people?
It would be very rare for a craft ale bar to reach its capacity. As Mr. Back said then, you know, craft ale is very much a premium brand, and people pay a lot more. So, you know, as an example, you might pay £5 or £6 for a 300 ml can. So therefore, it doesn't attract the kind of people who would go to, for example, a Wetherspoons and drink pints of beer at £2 or £3.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillor Locke, do you have any questions?
I'll ask one of my usual questions about waste and deliveries. What sort of times will they be collected?
Okay, those are not specified within the operating schedule, but the intention is to draw up the waste contract so that those deliveries are done such times as, I don't know, between 8 AM and 10 PM in the evening, so as not to disturb any local residents.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Morrell?
Yeah, one question about the events that you're going to be putting on. It was mentioned movie nights or cinema nights. What type of times would these be on? And is there any ambition or scope to expand that into other types of events at the venue in future?
No, it's highly unlikely. Craft ale bars tend to like film night type events rather than anything of a DJ nature, something where people can sit very quietly, almost the equivalent of sitting in your own home and watching a film. And the hours for those would generally be with a film starting at sort of 7:30, 8 PM, and most films running for an hour and a half, some running for 2 hours.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. One further question from me, Mr. Edge. I see at page 67, 69, we've got a reference to, I think it's Annex H, a dispersal plan and wind down plan. Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't normally even produce a dispersal plan for a craft ale brewery type premises. But because Mr. Del Malcolm from the Tunnel Club predominantly made a fuss around people leaving the venue, and it might therefore conflict with people entering his venue, even though they're about probably at least 1,000 meters apart. As a part of the conversation with him on the phone, I agreed that we would produce a dispersal plan to ensure that there was no conflict between the two venues of people coming and people going. The dispersal plan would be very much like the noise plan that's utilised by the premises, as a kind of live ongoing document to see how things work and how that needs to be adjusted moving forward.
Okay. It's not offered as a condition then, and clearly we could make it a condition, but
if you really felt it was necessary, then there wouldn't be any strong objection. But even with discussions with the police didn't think that our timings would cause a problem to require a dispersal plan. But, you know, when I said to them that I was going to offer it, because when I looked through the objection from Mr. Malcolm, there was nothing solid in there for me to act upon, and I kind of offered it as an olive branch, for the want of a better word.
Thank you. Councillor Morrell.
Yeah, just on that, I think it's worth stating it's disappointing that the Tunnel Club are not here. Actually, if you're going to make such an objection, at least come here to answer some questions. So that immediately goes against them. The dispersal thing, I think, is a bit excessive. But I want to just ask: you say it was an olive branch. What was the relationship like with the Tunnel Club when you spoke to them? Did they want to accept that? Were they happy with it, with the terms you're offering?
I'd explain. The person I spoke to was let me go back one. Initially, when the objections came in, I responded to the generic email for the Tunnel Club, which I found out later had gone to the manager of the club. After waiting a time and then sending a second email, I still got no response, and rang the club, then got the contact number from Mr. Malcolm, and I spoke to him direct, and he said, "Oh, I probably won't be dealing with this, my manager will." And I said, "Okay, can you give me the name and contact details for the manager?" He said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll speak to my manager and we'll get back to you." And then in the final conversation, when I rang him again and said, "You haven't got back to me, how do you want to move this forward?" And I recall saying, this is, in my opinion, an unnecessary and costly public hearing, when in fact you're not actually mediating. You tell me what the problem is, you tell me what you'd like us to do to accommodate you, and we'll find a middle ground. And it was during that conversation that I offered the dispersal plan, because you'll have read from his objection that his main concern was public nuisance and noise breakout, and the fact that his club generally receives people between 11 and 12 o'clock and they stay there until 4 a.m. and therefore it would be people going into his club as the final people would be leaving the barrel store.
Yeah, just can I come back on that, Chair? Yes. In my experience of the Tunnel Club, I used to be a bit of a promoter back in the day. They tend to host events that are specific to certain music genres. So like they'll have a promoter that will promote a particular audience that goes there. So I don't really buy that argument. And it's why I would have liked the Tunnel Club to have been there to really establish their claims, because if you're saying your audience is more of a premium market, I don't see where the conflict is there, except for potential, environment and nuisance to residents in the area. There's lots of residential developments going up in the Jewry Quarter. I used to sit on the planning committee and actually be a defender for the nighttime economy, because I thought the residential properties in the area conflicts with the nighttime economy. But I just don't think the objection is really substantial enough, given what you're saying, and you've clearly put the effort in to reach out to them. So I just want to put on record, Chair, it's very disappointing that the Tunnel Club are not here today to give representation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And obviously we give what weight is appropriate to to those circumstances. But thank you for those questions. I think that's the questioning session, Mr. Edge. So in the absence of obviously the Turn Club, we're on to I think straight on to your summing up, if you wish.
Okay, thank you. I'll be very brief because I think we probably covered all of the points. Through you, Chair. As was said, the applicant intends to run the premises as a professional business and has invested time, money and passion to make this a successful business without compromising on the licensing objectives. He will promote these at all times, and this is being demonstrated by his willingness to employ the services of a consultant to deliver comprehensive training to all of his staff. None of the 8 responsible authorities have seen reason to object to the application, including the police or the licensing authority. We trust that you will see this as a strong operating schedule with very reasonable hours requested, taking into consideration the area. The applicant intends to show that it will be a model premises that will be run in accordance with the Licensing Act and will fully cooperate with all responsible authorities moving forward. The applicant has already said that he is willing to liaise with the owners of the Tunnel Club to ensure that the 2 premises work in harmony. The objector has not engaged despite emails and phone calls and has not attended today. And therefore, we believe there is no evidence for the objection and the application should be granted as applied for. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edge, and thank you, Mr. Back, for you, both of you, for your assistance today. We'll now ask that all parties to leave the MS Teams meeting, and the members of the committee law and the committee manager will go into private session while the subcommittee makes its decision. Pardon me. You'll be notified of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. Thank you again for attending today and your assistance to us. So I'll close this part of the meeting, and colleagues will meet immediately in the private session.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, members.
Thank you.